And today we're going to talk about a lawsuit that was filed by a mother of a hip hop artist. And this massive lawsuit, which I hope and believe is millions of dollars, basically says that Sony Music is responsible for this artist overdosing while he was on the job. I'm going to talk to you guys about this lawsuit, and I think everybody needs to know about it. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. This is theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day. And the condition is that we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means we care about our kids. Black first means we care about our community. Black first means that we protect Black wealth and we build Black wealth by any means necessary. If you agree with this mission and this makes sense to you, then put a B1 in the chat, put a hashtag B1. Also, let me know what city you guys are coming from. And I want to tell you guys about this really interesting story that was just brought to me by a friend of mine. And it has to do with a rapper who overdosed on drugs, unfortunately. He died from a drug overdose, and his mother has sued the record label to get damages, which I just... Give me a yes or no if you agree, if you think that this is about damn time. I don't know. I was super happy to hear about this lawsuit. I think Sony needs to just get it. And you know, because I don't know about you, but I think that this mass promotion of drug addiction, drug use, drug selling, drug consumption, drug culture in the music, it's terrible, man. It's messing up so many of our kids, and your brain isn't even fully developed when you're 17. So this idea of getting addicted to drugs at 17 is just absolute nonsense. Now, if you could join me real quick, and let's thank the sponsor of today's podcast. I'm going to share my screen real quick. This company called Pathways United is offering support if you're interested in applying for funding for the Department of Energy and the National Science Foundation. You can go to pathwaysunited.org. That's pathwaysunited.org. And they can help you in a lot of different areas in terms of getting grants. From the Department of Energy. There's billions of dollars worth of grants out there. Agricultural decarbonization, community-driven agricultural decarbonization, transportation decarbonization, industrial decarbonization, decarbonization of biomanufacturing, cybersecurity, energy security, emergency response, fossil energy, etc. And so if you go to pathwaysunited.org, you can take a look and see if they can actually help you out. So there's big money out there, and I'll put the URL on the screen for those of you that might have missed it. So anyway, so give me a yes or no if you agree with this lawsuit. You know, this mother sued Sony Music because she said, look, you know, my 17-year-old son was in your custody, if you will. He was, you know, I gave him I gave you responsibility for my son, and now he's dead. And it was because he was caught up in the culture. And this is why you got to be careful about letting people define your culture. But the culture led him to think that it was cool and it was okay to get hooked on drugs. I'm going to read some of this to you. This is in the New York Post. So according to the New York Post, the mother of up-and-coming rapper from North Carolina has filed a wrongful death suit against Sony Music, claiming that the company allowed her son to die of a drug overdose just 4 days after his 17th birthday, according to court papers. Tobias Johnson, who went by the stage name Saucepax TB, it's spelled Sauxepax TB. So I'm going to say Saucepack maybe, was found unresponsive in Houston in a Texas hotel suite November 6, 2020 by his manager, who was sharing the room with him. According to the Manhattan Supreme Court lawsuit, mom Kenyatta Hardy, who is suing Sony Music Entertainment and other record labels. Sorry, I guess it's called, the label's called Record Labels LLC or something, and No Stress Entertainment LLC, claims she had voiced concerns about her son's well-being after seeing photos of him on social media using drugs and appearing high, her filing from Friday states. Hardy even suggested her son, who went viral earlier this year on TikTok with his song Ballin', took a break, and she suggested that he take a break and spend some time at home, and asked the label if he needed any help. So apparently this mother was concerned by what she saw with her son, and she was letting them know, allegedly, according to this lawsuit, she was basically saying, he's getting on social media, he's acting out. This is worrying me. And the thing about it that makes me sad is, how many of you, give me a yes or no, give me a yes or no, how many of you feel like you've seen this rapper or this imagery in the music 10,000 times? He's holding a stack of money as a cell phone. How many of you feel like you've just seen this song played out 10 million times? His hit song was called Ballin'. Sorry, that's Nick Cannon and Akon. That don't know where we did the podcast on them earlier. And I mean, how many of you feel like you've just kind of seen this? Like, you see it over and over and over again. And they promote this. They promote this as your culture. They make you think that this is how black men are supposed to act. And it's kind of ridiculous. It's sad. It's embarrassing. And you keep wondering, like, is this ever going to really come to an end? Or is this always the pants sagging, holding up the stack of money and everything else? Like, here's the thing, right? There's a documentary that a brother named Speech did, and he uses the N word, and it's the N word factory. So y'all can fill in the blank. I'm gonna try not to say that word on YouTube. And in this documentary, he makes the good point that this thug culture is manufactured. It's made in America. They manufacture it the same way you make a car at a Tesla plant. They manufacture it the same way you make a can of Campbell soup. They manufacture it the same way you make 10 million sweatshirts. And so my thought is, here's the thing. When I see a 17-year-old, who is doing the things that he believes are going to make him successful, which unfortunately, a lot of times they don't make you successful. They put you in an early grave. My question is, who taught you that? Who taught you that this is what a black man is supposed to look like if he wants to get ahead? And this is all promoted by the record labels. Companies like Sony, they make $1 billion from dead Negroes. Sony makes $1 billion from dead black men. They make all kinds of money by watching your sons kill themselves slowly. Does anybody understand? Let me just explain this to you. I'm not just talking. I'm not just a guy running his mouth. My wife isn't just a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. She is an addiction specialist. Do you hear me when I tell you that she is an expert on addiction and also an expert on the conscious and subconscious mind? So one of the things that my wife and I talk about all the time is, you don't understand the damage that's happening to your black men when they get them hooked on drugs at an early age. I mean, it's bad enough when you getting high and drunk and you're 35, 40 years old. But when you start at 17, your brain has not yet fully developed. Do you understand? Do you understand the depth of damage to your men and to your community when you get a 17-year-old kid addicted to opioids before his brain is even fully developed? What kind of husband and father is he going to most likely be? Remember, this is a man whose actions are going to impact other men. His actions are going to impact his children. His actions are going to impact his grandchildren. If you think about this, when my grandparents had Thanksgiving, there was grandma and papa, and they were surrounded by 40 people, all of whom would not exist if grandma and papa had not got together and started making babies back in the 1950s. You understand? So what a man does with his life has an impact on dozens and dozens and dozens of people. Give me a yes in the chat if you understand this. This is where families come from. These are the birds and the bees of community building. So when you take a black man and he's 17 years old, he's got his whole life in front of him. He could be anything. He could be anything from a rocket scientist to president of the United States to a high-powered attorney to a medical doctor. Instead, they turn him into a guy that wants to get high and drunk every day, that ain't got no that hates women before he even gets to know them, that wants to make as many babies as possible and not take care of them, who wants to ruin himself financially, give himself a pack of STDs, and then go brag about it on Instagram over the fact that he slept with 5,000 women. And then we cheer that on. We hit the like button when he tells us about baby mama number 9. And you don't understand the chain reaction in terms of what this is creating in your community. I'm not putting down this kid because he's a baby. He's a baby. And I definitely wouldn't speak ill on someone who has passed. So it's not about him. He's at that stage of his life. When he died, he was still at that stage where he was heavily impressionable. If you had introduced that kid, pay attention now. A lot of rappers are brilliant people. I know a lot of rappers. They're not dumb. Rappers are very, very smart, most of them. So you're taking the vast majority of black male young geniuses and you're making them into thugs. You're making them into dope addicts. You're making them into to gangsters and hardcore killers when they could have been anything. They could have been doctors, lawyers, carpenters, leaders. They could have been the next Malcolm X, but who would want to do that when it's more lit to be, getting high on Molly's and Percocets at the club, finding baby mama number 12? This is all created by the music industry. So the music industry owes black people about $1 trillion in reparations for all the losses, stolen productivity that you've taken from the black community by destroying so many millions and millions of young black men. Every time a black man goes down, that's some black woman's husband that she'll never have. She now no longer is not going to have a husband because the man that God meant for her to marry was derailed by the thug culture, this BS culture that they promote in the music. They put it on every radio station. They put it on every TV station. They put it out there like a damn cancer. It's worse than COVID. And we embrace this stuff and act like it's okay when you don't understand why your community's falling apart. This is a fact, black people. This is a fact. So I'm going to just say this. Let me go back to this lawsuit. This mama, first of all, obviously there's an accountability question. The question becomes, how did this record label get a hold of your son in the first place? But that's a question that's a legitimate question, and I'd be curious to know what the answer is. But putting that question to the side, my response to this lawsuit is go, mama, go. Sue the hell out of those sons of bitches. Remember, there are child labor laws in the entertainment industry. For some reason, they don't apply to music. But I talked to a friend of mine whose daughter is an actress. And one of the things she sent me when I told her about this story, but she sent me all these regulations that the film industry has to apply or has to follow in order to put your child in a movie. Did y'all know this? Did y'all know that in the entertainment industry, there are supposed to be laws when your child is underage? This boy was 17 when he died. When your child is underage, they have a responsibility to keep your child safe. Keep them away from drugs. Keep them away from the people that want to touch little children and stuff like that. Now, obviously, the job of the parent is the first line of defense. And this woman who sent this to me, I know how she operates. Every time her daughter goes to a movie set, she's right there on the set. And when they say, well, no parents allowed, she says, I'll be damned. She won't be in this movie then because ain't no damn way I'm going to send my child away with you without me being right there with you to protect her. This is how you do it. This is important. You must understand this because if y'all remember when Tiffany Haddish had her little thing, I don't want to speak ill on Tiffany because I know because Tiffany is a Powernomics supporter and I like her. I think she's talented. But that whole little weird situation with the little kids that were in the little movie, and did y'all see that? Where because Tiffany Haddish ain't been public for about 6 months now because she's trying to let it all kind of pass. But when that little situation went down, anybody remember that? Well, when that occurred, my thought is, okay, I get it. Somebody was so caught up in the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. They were so caught up with the drug of fame that they were serving up their child to go anywhere with anybody who promised them that they might have a Hollywood connection that can get them some kind of a deal. It happens all the time. You don't think that all those little girls running through R. Kelly's hotel room, with some of those little girls weren't delivered by their hyper ambitious parents? Seriously, what planet were you born on to not think that maybe some of those little girls? Think about this. This man's been known to be a predator since about 2001. A lot of us that have been following this guy and know how talented he is, we know that the guy ain't been right since Aaliyah. We knew that was when it all came out. When he married 15-year-old Aaliyah, that should have been all you need to know. But yet still, 15 years after Aaliyah's death, there were parents taking their children, their 17-year-old daughters, to R. Kelly concerts and saying, go backstage with him. He can get you a deal. Right? So let's just keep it 100. We get caught up sometimes in all the fame and the fortune. This idea, my son is a famous rapper. My daughter is a famous singer. My other son's going to be in a movie. That we forget that Hollywood and the entertainment industry is full of people who are very anti-Black, who are very harmful to children. There are a ton of children out here trying to making full documentaries about being touched when they were in Hollywood, being touched in an inappropriate way. They all have documentaries out there. And for some reason, your media doesn't want to cover any of it, which tells me that they're probably in on it too. The elites, this whole idea that the elites are kind of okay looking past some of this stuff, I believe every bit of it, because I'm sitting there thinking, how can all these former Disney kids and all these former child actors be making full documentaries, writing entire books about what happened to them, and nobody's listening? Well, you know what? I'm listening. I'm listening. And I'm listening because of stories like this. I'm listening because of this lawsuit. This woman, she filed this lawsuit. Her son, I guess it was Sauce Pack. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Her name is Kenyatta Hardy. She's suing Sony Music and other record labels. It says and other labels, records label LLC. I don't know what that means. No Stress Entertainment LLC. She claimed that she had voiced concerns about her son's well-being after seeing photos of him on social media using drugs and appearing high. And then she said that Hardy was assured by No Stress Entertainment that it would keep him safe and away from drugs, the suit claims. Photos posted the night before his death show that the record labels had, quote, taken Tobias out to celebrate his 17th birthday. So they took him out to celebrate his birthday. The pictures show him under the influence of illicit drugs later found during his autopsy, the court papers say, including screenshots of social media photos. The young rapper went on a 2-day drug binge that ended with his death from an overdose of opioids and other prescription drugs. His manager at No Stress Entertainment was asleep in the same suite at the time. For 2 days, the labels gave Tobias access to illicit drugs, watched him consume those illicit drugs, and then watched those illicit drugs kill him. This is according to the lawsuit. So, I'm going to tell you this. I'll tell you a little story. I knew, in RIP to Tobias. I mean, he looks like a kid that could have done anything. I mean, if you're a talented rapper, in many cases, that means that you have some type of intelligence. And unfortunately, because we have this culture, it grabs these little boys before they get a chance to become great men, husbands and fathers and thinkers and everything else. It just tells him, okay, no, your job is to imitate the idiot that you just saw on TV. And what is unfortunate is that sometimes we get so caught up in fame and fortune and girls and Instagram follows that you don't realize that hip hop is a dangerous sport. Hip hop is a very dangerous industry to go into. Hip hop is so dangerous that you need hazard pay to go into that field. I wouldn't go into hip hop unless even if somebody's paying me $10 million a year, I wouldn't do it, because it ain't good. It ain't right for your spirit. It ain't fun to go to every concert knowing somebody's trying to kill you. It ain't fun trying to go through life knowing that the feds are watching every move you make. It ain't fun going around in situations where you're constantly being thrown into spaces with drug abuse and people taking your money and crazy, chaotic culture where a rapper is dying every single week. Who the hell would want a job like that? How many of you would give me a yes or no? How many of you would want a job where you literally could die every week and your colleagues are dying on a regular basis? How many of you would want a job where people are trying to rob you and kill you and take all your money and all this other stuff? There's nothing good about being a rapper 99 times out of 100. I've seen this. I've seen behind the celebrity curtain. I've known the rappers that will go out here and tell you that they're worth $80 million and have a big stack of cash on Instagram, but literally will be financially desperate like you would not believe behind the scenes, because they're forced to maintain a false image of economic success. They maintain a false image of spiritual and emotional and physical health. They're not healthy. Those drugs will kill your ass. And on top of that, you got all the other problems that come with legal issues and babies, mamas, and everything else. I had a talk with a young guy who was friends with the rapper PNB Rock. PNB Rock, as you know, was out in LA. Some guy got jealous, saw him with chains on his neck, and went and killed him inside of Denny's, right there in LA. And this guy was a friend with PNB Rock. And I said, how do you feel? I said, just because the white man offers you that money, that don't mean you got to take it. Ain't no amount of money worth your soul. Ain't no amount of money worth your peace of mind. There's other ways. There's a lot of ways for a black man to get rich that don't involve standing in front of a crowd full of white people, holding your nuts and calling yourself a nigga. There's a million ways to do well financially without having to embrace a culture that's going to make you look like a little boy until you're 50 years old. Do you understand? I mean, it's got to be like a trap where you are literally, like, I empathize with Method Man, because Method Man was he turned down at first he turned down the chance to go on tour with the Wu-Tang Clan. And I understood exactly why Method Man didn't want to go on tour with the Wu-Tang Clan. Why? Well, because he's 51 years old. He said that twice. He said, I'm 51 years old. He's got that deal. He said, I'm 51 years old. Who the hell at 51 wants to run around acting like you 21? That was cool in 1992. It ain't cool in 2022. Human beings should be allowed to evolve. And a lot of these rappers, whether they're young or they're old, they're stuck in the little boy trap. You gotta be, and the thing is, it's a little boy trap and it's an ignorance trap, because you not only have to act more mature or more immature than the other little boys around you, because that's how you get attention, is by really enhancing the minstrel show. The more you enhance the minstrel show, the more likes you'll get, the more lit you are, the more play spins you'll get, the more attention you'll get. So you gotta out immature the other man. It is a race to the bottom. It is a race to the bottom. Who can use the most drugs? Who can get the most tattoos? Who can do the most ridiculous, outlandish, embarrassing shit to get attention? It's a clown show. Hip hop has become a clown show. And so ultimately, I wouldn't want to be a rapper to save money. There's no amount of money you could pay me that will make me want to go out and be a rapper. I just wouldn't do it. It would, 10 million, no, thank you. I ain't trying to go places and have people constantly trying to kill me. So I feel sorry for some of these kids. When I see this kid, and I don't know much about his music, I'm gonna look it up, and all that. But it makes me think about like Bobby Shmurda. I remember Bobby Shmurda years ago. Bobby Shmurda goes to anybody know Bobby Shmurda? Give me a yes in the chat if you know about Bobby Shmurda. Everybody who knows Bobby Shmurda, say yes in the chat. So Bobby Shmurda, he has something called the Shmoney dance, which is should be called the monkey dance. So he had the Shmoney dance, and he did this. Everybody liked the Shmoney dance. And so Bobby Shmurda would go do the Shmoney dance. And in New York, he was rolling with these guys that would all carry illegal weapons and illegal drugs. So you are looking like an absolute dumbass at that point, because the feds are sitting back saying, oh, these Negroes going to make it easy for us. All we got to do is pop in the studio. Well, they ain't going to be ready for war. They ain't going to be ready to defend themselves. They ain't going to be ready for nothing. They're going to be sitting in there high and drunk with illegal drugs everywhere, which gives us a big bust we can put on TV because we're taking down a big name Negro, and all kinds of illegal weapons, and they all gonna be sitting around doing the Shmoney dance. They're gonna be doing the Shmoney dance. So you're not even presenting yourself as a worthy adversary to those who want to destroy you. You're not seen as a soldier. You're not seen as a man. You're seen as a child, because you sit around doing the Shmoney dance, and they sitting here putting on tactical gear, like ready for war with military style weapons, ready to destroy you and everything you love. Take your freedom. Take all of your money, destroy your reputation, lock you up in prison until they decide you're going to come out, and get you raped every single day while you locked up in the joint, and they take full control. One man ends up dominating the other man because one man is prepared for war. The other man is trying to do the Shmoney dance and trying to stay lit, and trying to be cool, trying to fit in. It's a clown circus. So I may sound harsh when I say this. I know people aren't going to get this, and I get it. There are people who are never going to understand anything that I say on this platform. Those people should probably just go. But for those of you that get it, I want to give you the courage to just speak up on this nonsense. You got to say something, man, because if you don't say something, then your community will perish, because they are taking all of your most talented, most brilliant, most capable young men. They're turning them into thugs and drug addicts before they even get a chance to decide who they're going to be. And next thing you know, your women ain't got no husbands that they can pick. They only got little 35-year-old children, 35-year-old children to choose from. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Ladies, give me a yes or no if you know what I'm talking about. Like dating can be tough, because what are you going to do with a man who never had guidance from a real man on what a real man's supposed to do in terms of accountability and running a household and leading a family? No, he trying to be lit. He 35, trying to compete with the 20-year-olds. He trying to still get a record deal. He damn near a grandfather. Really, it's crazy to me. It makes me very sad, because there's so many things out here that we can do. So many other ways Black men can be wealthy. So many ways Black men can succeed at the highest levels. And some of y'all get it. I see a lot of Black men, but everywhere I go, I'm meeting Black men that are doing real estate. I see Black men that are going to law school. I see Black men that are buying businesses. I see Black men that are out here investing in the stock market. And those are the types of men that I enjoy talking to, because those are the grown-ass men in the community. Those are your real leaders. Those are your real heroes. Those are the men, in my view, who should get the most attention, not the clowns, in the music industry, because unfortunately, many of them have been misled. and they have no other skill other than being able to get on a microphone and bust a rap and then stand in front of a crowd full of white people and hold their nuts and call themselves a nigga. Like that's literally their number one skill. That's not a skill that is necessarily marketable outside of the space of white supremacy. So you need your builders, you need your thinkers, you need your planners, you need your strategists, you need those people that are actually going to develop the institutions that will sustain us. Because some of what is happening in hip hop is absolutely horrifically destructive. The music industry owes reparations to Black people because they have destroyed so many millions of your kids, which means they have taken trillions of dollars in economic potential out of your community, because every Black boy who grows up and becomes a thug could have become a millionaire business owner. They could have become a job creator. They could have become somebody's husband and father. They could have become a community leader. But instead of getting an asset, you're getting a liability. So it's a double whammy. They're not just imagine if somebody went into your bank account, right? Imagine if you own some stocks and real estate and whatever, right? And imagine if you owned a $300,000 house, somebody took your house. Right. So right there, they're taking $300,000 away from you and your wealth. Follow me. Give me a yes if you follow this analogy, because they're stealing something more valuable than real estate. They're stealing your human beings. They're stealing your people. Right. But Black people have been a commodity since slavery. So you understand this. So imagine they take your house away. Right. Just for no reason. They steal your house. So they're taking $300,000 away from you. Right. Pay attention now. So imagine if, in addition to stealing your $300,000 house, they then also create a mortgage and make you repay the mortgage on the house. So now you're not just $300,000 down from losing the house, you're $300,000 in the hole because they've turned your asset into a liability. So it's a double whammy. So that's what they've done with your human beings. They've taken your Black men who could have become the next Malcolm X, your Black men who could have become the next Barack Obama, your Black men who could have become the next billionaire Robert Smith, your Black men who could have become the next Boyce Watkins, your Black men who could have become the next anything that you respect and admire in the community. That's what they could have become. Believe me, if I was training 10 million Black men every day, you would have at least 2 million Boyce Watkinses running around here. Imagine what our community would look like if you had 2 million Black boys that think like me. That's my goal. My goal is to be fruitful and multiply. I ain't trying to go out here and make a bunch of babies, but I am trying to go out here and create some intellectual children that are going to actually take some of these ideas and carry them to the next level, right? So here's the thing. All these Black men that could have done anything, that could have been assets to their family, like this young man in the lawsuit who died, he could have been an asset to his mother. Instead of making it, so they're not just taking away your asset, they're turning these men into liabilities. So they're snatching the gun away from you and they're pointing it right at your face. So these men, when they come back and they're hooked on drugs and they're out here poisoning the community by spreading a toxic message, they're out here infecting the women with all kinds of diseases because they've not been trained on sexual responsibility. They're creating nothing but trauma, and chaos. And that becomes your problem. So when they're lit, when they're out, when they're a commodity that can be exported to the world, and somebody can make a lot of money. White and Jewish record labels can basically take your child and market them to the world and say, look at this Black man stand on stage and call himself the N-word, right? And when they're making money, they want every part of him. They want to own every piece of him when he's an asset. But when he becomes a liability, right? When the drug addiction catches up with him, when all the baby mama-itis catches up, when he's no longer lit anymore, when he's now ignorant, when he's now, got a bunch of problems that you can't get rid of, then they hand him back to you. So again, pay attention now. This is where a lot of your Black wealth goes. They take your greatest assets, your young people, and they turn them into your greatest liabilities. So that Black man who could have grown up and protected a young Black woman, maybe he becomes a predator and he ends up harming a young Black woman. The Black man who could have loved you maybe grows up into the Black man that traumatizes you. The Black man who would have embraced some kids and raised them to be great people, he becomes the man that you have to be afraid of because he might harm the children, right? The list goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. The Black man who could have been a wealth builder becomes a wealth depleter because he wants to go and give all his money to Jake the jeweler, or he wants to go and buy Gucci and Louis and all this other stuff when he could have been taught to actually build assets that actually belong to his community. So you have to really think about this. When I read this story, and I'm gonna pull it up one more time just so we can kind of just understand. This is the context of the conversation. I see lost wealth. That's what I'm seeing. I see a tragedy on all levels. I don't just see the emotional pain. Right. So this young man who was an up and coming rapper who thought he was successful, whose family probably thought he was doing well. He ends up dead from a drug overdose. His mother's suing Sony Music, which I think she should. She should sue the living crap out of them. They need to pay a bunch of money. It's not just emotionally painful. It is also economically painful. It's socially painful. It's painful to your families because this is not just a one-off situation. Like again, let me show you, what culture this brother was embracing, before he unfortunately passed. I've seen a trillion rappers like this. It's not like there's anything unique about any of these images. There's nothing here where you say, "Oh man, I ain't never seen that before. I ain't never seen a black man on Instagram holding up a big stack of money before. I ain't never seen a black man with his pants sagging before. I ain't never seen a black man with a bunch of tattoos and multicolored teeth and whatever. I ain't never seen a black man hold a cup of some drink before. I ain't never seen that before. That's rare. That's so rare. No, that's not rare. That's systematic because because this culture is made in America. They mass produce this culture and they dump it right on you. And that is not black culture. That is not who we are. That is not what we're made of. So my RIP goes out to this young man and his family. I hope that they win this lawsuit. I think there should be other lawsuits. I think everybody who's affected should be suing. I saw Charleston White, who is about the most hilarious person I've ever seen. Charleston White did something really powerful, though. He got all the mothers of a bunch of dead artists and got the world to hear their story. So shout out to him for doing that, because I think that is the kind of thing we need to do to understand that just because you think it's cool and you want to call this success, there ain't nothing successful about going into a toxic industry and making a little bit of white man's money to destroy your community. That's not success. That is a miserable, miserable failure. So don't get it twisted. Don't make that mistake. That's what's caused a lot of the problems that we have right now. Okay. All right, guys. So do me a favor. Could you please hit the thumbs up button? Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, thank you to pathwaysunited.org. They have a really awesome system of supporting you if you're looking to get grants from the Department of Energy. So if you are a smart person who is looking for grants in these areas, a lot of intelligent black people are here. They give a lot of proposal help. Their website is right there on the URLs on the bottom. Anything from fossil energy and carbon management, defense and nuclear proliferation, fusion energy science, electricity, high energy physics. Erica Cole, her email is right here, ecole@pathwaysunited.org. You can email her, or also you can go to their website, pathwaysunited.org, and they can help you to find that grant money. So that's our way to kind of contribute and supporting those of you who maybe you can't bust a rap, but you are brilliant in other areas. And so pathwaysunited.org is a place you can go to get some help, to go get the support that you deserve. So anyway, guys, last but not least, my website is boycewatkins.com, and I have a free training on how to start an investment club. So if you'd like to learn how to do that, investment clubs are a great way to build family wealth. I'm all about building black institutions from the ground up so that our children can have a legacy for the next generation, not just because you can't pass a job down to your kids. That's the white man's organization. You can't pass that to your kids. I'm interested in building institutions from the ground up. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. Your family investment club, I guarantee you, could be a first step toward building wealth in your family. So feel free to go take a look at my website. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good day. God bless you. Thank you for listening. And I will see you all very, very soon. Take care now. Peace.